Chapter 36. Broda Pie. Jenna stepped into the Queen's room with a feeling of relief. She knew she was safe. No one could follow her. The room was just as it always was. The same small fire burning in the grate, the same old armchair and rug beside it, except for the ghost sitting in the chair. Instead of the ghost of her mother, whom Jenna had yet to see, the chair was occupied by the ghost of Queen Ethelderda's mother. Queen Ethelderda's mother was as different from her daughter as it was possible to be. The elderly ghost had been slumbering in her chair. Her crown slipped forward over her wispy white hair, and a contented smile on her face as she dreamed of the happy times she and her husband had had at the palace, and all the friends she had known. If a frown did occasionally flicker across her brow, it was when the teenage tantrums of the young Ethelderda intruded into her dreams, but they soon vanished, replaced by the many good memories the much-loved old queen had stored up. As Jenna came into the room, the queen opened her eyes, and thinking she was seeing her granddaughter, smiled and returned to her reveries. Jenna was about to sit down in the old chair by the fire and wait until everyone outside had given up and gone away, but there was something about the chair that told her that it was not hers to sit in, not yet. She wandered around the tiny room while the old queen slumbered, oblivious to the presence of her great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter. Interested to see if the unstable potions and particular poisons cupboard had changed in any way, Jenna peeked inside. To her surprise, instead of the bare shelves she was used to, the cupboard was full of exquisite little bottles in 100 different shades of blue, green, and red glass, which sparkled in the glow of the firelight. In each bottle was a gold-topped cork, and the long lines of gold corks twinkled like a precious golden chain. Intrigued by the bottles, Jenna slipped inside the cupboard, and the door closed behind her. To Jenna's surprise, when the door closed, a line of tiny candles on the bottom shelf burst into flame and filled the cupboard with light. Jenna was curious to see what was now kept in the little mahogany drawers, so she opened the top drawer. It was full of what looked like thick gold coins, but they smelled like mint chocolates. Jenna picked one up, scraped away some of the thin gold leaf, and tentatively licked the dark, bitter chocolate. Unable to resist, she popped the rest of the mint into her mouth. It melted in the most wonderful mix of mint and chocolate that she had ever tasted. Jenna closed the drawer before she was tempted to take another, and one by one opened the rest of the drawers, which were neatly packed with yet more bottles, lying on soft, unspun wool. Preoccupied by deciding whether to have just one more mint chocolate after all, Jenna opened the bottom drawer, and too late, she heard the telltale click as the door to the cupboard locked itself, and the queen's way was set in motion. Everything went black, and then someone trod on her toe and screamed very loudly. "Ah! Broda! Broda! Mamma is in the closet! She hath come through! Broda!" The cupboard door was thrown open with a bang, and a girl rushed out, still screaming. Ears ringing, Jenna nervously peered out of the cupboard and was confronted by the bizarre sight of what appeared to be her twin hurling herself at a very beautiful young woman with long, dark, curly hair and brilliant witch-blue eyes. There, Esmeralda," shushed the young woman, gently stroking Esmeralda's hair. "Cease thy din. Thou art safe now, and thy mamma will not dare to venture through the way, for thou knowest thy grandmamma will forbid it." "Shh, there now." "Ugh!" Broda Pie gasped at the sight of another Esmeralda stepping out of the unstable potions and particular poisons cupboard. Hello," said Jenna uncertainly. Esmeralda stared at Jenna, and Jenna returned the stare, unable to believe that she was not looking in a mirror and seeing her own reflection. They were the same height, their brown hair was the same length, and they both wore identical gold circlets. Suddenly Esmeralda started sobbing. "My time is come. I see my doppelganger. All is lost. Ah!" "Cease now, Esmeralda," said Broda Pie, rather more sternly. "'Tis not your doppelganger. Behold your boots, Esmeralda." Esmeralda stared at Jenna's brown boots, and her nose wrinkled up disapprovingly in an expression that showed she was indeed her mother's daughter. "They are but common brown boots," said Esmeralda, as though Jenna was not there. Jenna looked down at her boots. She liked her boots, and she didn't think that Esmeralda had any room to talk, considering the stupid shoes she was wearing, the weirdest shiny red things with points so long that 2 pieces of ribbon were fixed to the ends and tied to her ankles to stop her from tripping over them. "Who art thou?" Broda interrupted Jenna's thoughts on Esmeralda's footwear. "My name is Jenna," said Jenna. By thy golden circlet and thy red robes, thou dost appear a princess, despite thy boots, said Rhoda. But how can this be? I am a princess, said Jenna crossly, and in my time we wear boots. Rhoda Pye was used to many strange things happening in her cottage, for the Moran marshes were even more untamed than in Jenna's time. All manner of spirits and creatures lived there and would sometimes wander into the keeper's cottage. Rhoda decided that Jenna was one of these, a spirit of a long-dead princess wandering the marshes, maybe searching for the dragon boat. Rhoda could see that Jenna was one of the more substantial spirits with a bit of a temper, and thought it would be wise to appease her by offering food and drink. Rhoda disappeared into the kitchen, leaving Esmeralda and Jenna together. There was an awkward silence between them, and then Esmeralda, who was a practical person, and had decided that Jenna looked far too solid to be a spirit, said, Thou art truly a princess. Jenna nodded. Esmeralda knew something of Marcellus's experiments. Art thou from a time yet to come? She asked. Jenna nodded again. Esmeralda was thinking hard. Tell me, is Mamma Queen in thy time yet to come? She asked. Jenna shook her head. Not when I left, she said, but last month her ghost suddenly appeared. Now I am afraid that if I don't return she will become queen. Then thou must return, said Esmeralda, as if that settled the matter. See now, Rhoda hath brought forth her sweetmeats. Thou art truly honored. Rhoda had returned carrying a tray of tall glasses filled with a hot, misty-looking drink, and a gold plate of delicate pink and green squashy sweets, covered in a dusting of soft sugar. She offered them to Jenna, who took a pink one. It was like nothing Jenna had eaten before, smooth and chewy at the same time, and it tasted of a wonderful aromatic mixture of rose petals, honey, and lemon. The misty drink was less wonderful. It tasted bitter, but it was hot, and Jenna was enjoying sitting beside Rhoda's fire. She felt safe and warm, just as she always did at Keeper's Cottage, but she knew she had to go. She would not find Septimus here. I must leave now, said Jenna, getting used to the more formal ways of speaking, but I thank you for your hospitality. Rhoda Pye bowed her head, relieved that the spirit princess was satisfied. Then, as was considered prudent in spirit visitations, she asked, Prithee, fair princess, do not depart from this house empty-handed. Ask of me what thee will, and I will be honored to meet thine every desire, said Rhoda, hoping that Jenna would not ask for her nice new pearl necklace that Marcellus had recently sent her, which she wished she had tucked out of sight inside her tunic while she was in the kitchen. It was too late now, and Rhoda held her breath while she waited for the spirit princess's reply. There was something that Jenna wanted more than anything else, apart from finding Septimus, and she knew this was the one place where she might be able to find it. I desire, she said slowly, trying to find the right words. Yes? Asked Rhoda Pye, on tenterhooks, anxiously fingering her necklace. I desire to know how to revive the dragon boat. Rhoda Pye breathed an audible sigh of relief. From death? She asked. From half-death, half-life. She breathes, but does not move. She speaketh, but weakly, like a whisper on the breeze, said Jenna, really getting into the old way of speaking, and rather enjoying it. Stay thee a few minutes longer, and I will fetch you the remedy, said Rhoda, and before Jenna could change her mind, she rushed into the unstable potions and particular poisons cupboard. Jenna heard her open the trapdoor and climb down the old ladder, on her way to the dragon boat in her dark and lonely underground temple. There was a silence, and then Esmeralda said, Mamma liketh not the dragon boat, but I shall like her. I know that she will talk to me when the time is right, even though she will not speak to Mamma, though Mamma doth shout and cajole her midsummer day. Jenna smiled. She knew that the dragon boat had good judgment. Rhoda returned, breathless and smelling of the musty passageways below the ground. She placed a battered old box on her desk and beckoned Jenna over. On the box was written the words, Last Resort. Rhoda muttered an unlock over the box, and then lifted the lid. Inside was a small leather pouch that Jenna recognized. That's the transubstantiate triple, she said, disappointed. We tried that before. Rhoda looked impressed. Thou art a wise spirit for thy tender years, she observed, taking out the 3 small hammered gold bowls with blue enameling around their rims that Jenna remembered. Rhoda laid out the bowls on the desk, and then, to Jenna's surprise, she also brought out a small green bottle. Jenna picked up the bottle. On the label was written, TX3 Revive. I have not seen this before, she said. Then you have not seen the transubstantiate triple, said Rhoda simply. It will not work without, though with strong magic, some may do good. May I take just the bottle? Asked Jenna. Rhoda bowed her head. Surely you may. There are many more in the queen's cupboard to be had. You are most welcome, princess. Thank you, she said. Rhoda stood waiting for the spirit princess to depart. She was afraid that she might ask for something else. Some spirits could get greedy. Rhoda had once had a spirit of a merchant who had taken her entire thimble collection and then come back for her best needles. Jenna knew Rhoda wanted her to go, but she said, "There is one more thing." Rhoda's face fell. So this was a greedy one. She didn't look it, but you could never tell with spirits. "What?" said Rhoda rather sharply. "Do you have a Bogart?" she asked Rhoda. Rhoda looked surprised. "You want a Bogart?" she asked in disbelief. But a spirit princess must not be denied. Rhoda threw open the cottage front door. The dank smell of the marshes drifted in, and Jenna breathed in the smell that she loved, then jumped with shock. At least a dozen little Bogarts were grouped on the doorstep watching her. Their brown eyes and wet, muddy noses glistened in the light of the lantern. "Which Bogart do you want?" asked Rhoda. "I don't want one. I just wanted to see one again," explained Jenna. "Aren't they lovely? Look at their great big eyes and their huge flippers." Patience at an end, Rhoda shook her head at the craziness of spirits. "Shoo!" she said, flapping her arms wildly at the baby Bogarts. "Shoo!" The Bogarts stared at Rhoda unblinkingly, and showed no sign of even beginning to be shooed. "They try my patience most unmercifully," said Rhoda, slamming the door. "'Tis the breeding season, and I declare there must be a dozen litters upon the island." "In my time there is only one Bogart," said Jenna. "Then in your time you are truly fortunate. Now, fare thee well, princess," Rhoda said, holding open the door to the unstable potions and particular poisons cupboard. Jenna got the hint. "Fare thee well, Rhoda. Fare thee well, Esmeralda," she said politely, and stepped into the cupboard. Rhoda Pye firmly closed the door. Jenna slipped out of the queen's room and was relieved to find the landing empty. She tiptoed down the turret stairs and, "Princess!" the Knight of the Day pounced. The Knight of the Day had not quite given up all thoughts of keeping his head. He took hold of Jenna's arm and marched her off, saying, "Thy mamma will worry, fair Esmeralda. Thou must not stray from thy chamber. 'Tis past 6 of the clock, and all princesses should be abed. Come now." Jenna could not escape the knight's steely grip. At top speed he propelled her along the corridor, and before she knew it she was hurtling toward her bedroom doors, and a surprised Sir Hereward. Sir Hereward was not alone. A short fat man with a bright red face and a bulbous nose was banging furiously on the bedroom door. The man was almost swamped in his grey silk palace livery, which had 5 very long gold ribbons dangling from each sleeve, plus 2 large gold epaulets, which had been added at his own request. "Open!" he shouted. "Open up in the name of Her Most Gracious Majesty, Queen Ethelgida! Open up, I say!" The Knight of the Day saw his chance to hand over his troublesome charge. "Percy," he said loudly over the din of the banging, "cease thy bellowing. I have here Princess Esmeralda." The red-faced man wheeled around in surprise. "Why is she not abed?" he demanded. The Knight of the Day thought fast. "Princess Esmeralda is a most delicate flower, Percy. She didst have a fit of the vapors, and I, mindful of her dear mamma's concerns for her most precious, and now her only daughter, did—" "Oh, cease thy mitherings," snapped the bare-boned man. He turned to Jenna and gave her a curt brow. "Princess Esmeralda, Her Most Gracious Majesty, your dear mamma, requests your royal presence at a banquet held this night to celebrate your safe return from the cold waters of the river. Follow me." Jenna glanced in panic at Sir Hereward, who whispered, "It be the Queen's steward. He will not be gainsaid. Thou hast best obey." "But mamma, said that I must stay here," protested Jenna. The steward shot Jenna a questioning look. Esmeralda had certainly changed for the worse since he last met her. She was far too daring, and he didn't like the way she spoke one bit. "I do not think thou truly wishest to disobey thine own dear mamma," said the steward stonily. "I myself would not wish it, if I were in thy place." "Thou best go," whispered Sir Hereward. "I will stay by thy side. He will not see, for I do not choose to appear to this bumptious barrel of lard." Jenna smiled gratefully, with a horrible sinking feeling in her stomach, but with the faithful Sir Hereward by her side, she followed the bumptious barrel of lard along the candlelit passageways, cutting a swath through the bustle of servants, and sweeping down the great stairs toward the ominous sounds of preparations for the banquet.